Hello, and thank you for joining me today as we have an incredible interview lined up for you with one of our most amazing speakers at the upcoming Get Good at Business Summit. I'm Taylor Proctor, and I am hosting the summit, and I am joined by one of, again, our amazing speakers, Trunnis Goggins. And Trunnis is an educator, author, consultant for small businesses and higher rated institutions. He's consulted numerous small businesses throughout the United States in startup and strategic planning. He's also provided consultation and training for higher education institutions in the areas of business program accreditation, online course implementation, and self-directed learning techniques. He's also a decorated Navy veteran, earning 5 Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medals for his legal and recruiting work. He's also a member of several organizations, including Network of Schools of Public Policy, Affairs and Administration, National Society of Leadership and Success, Down Syndrome Indiana, and SCORE of Asheville, North Carolina. In addition to serving in the military and business and higher education consulting, Dr. Goggins has over 16 years in higher education experience. He has served as a professor and department chair for the College of Business at Harrison College and Ivy Tech Community College. He served as the director for workforce development at Ivy Tech Community College, Columbus, Indiana, and he is currently a lead instructor for the College of Business at Western Governors University. So needless to say, he has all the experience when it comes to really leaning in on intentionally planning for the future when you are a business or a higher learning institution. So, Trunnis, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate being here, Taylor.
Yeah, and we are so excited for you to present at the Get Good at Business Summit. For those watching, that is again March 15th and 16th. So coming up here pretty soon. And Trunnis, you have obviously a wealth of experience, like we just acknowledged in reading your bio, but tell us what has happened in your life to make you the expert to be the person speaking on the Get Good at Business stage, all about that intentionally planning for the future.
Well, I grew up in an entrepreneurial house. My father owned businesses, and my mother was an educator. So I kind of taken both of those things and became what I did. I love entrepreneurs. I love the entrepreneur spirit, and I love talking to people about entrepreneurship. But I also like talking to people about planning and being very strategic. One of my favorite board games, and I don't know if you really want to call it a board game or not, but it's chess. And chess, when you're playing chess, you are actually, that's all about strategy. And strategy is determining and establishing the rules in the playing field. Okay. And I really do like that. And the best strategy, or the best companies, or the best organizations are ones that have great strategy, and they're trendsetters.
Yep.
And I actually got into strategy because I'm competitive, but I'm also very competitive minded. But I also got into strategy because when I talk to entrepreneurs and when I consult people, everybody has this plan. Okay, I'm going to do this, whatever it may be, open a restaurant or do whatever. And they have a great plan, but they don't have a great strategy.
Mm.
So they are planning on a playing field that already exists, as opposed to establishing the rules and reestablishing the playing field as is. So as I talk to individuals, I go that way. And when I was working on my PhD in nonprofit management, I actually this was a time when nonprofits were actually competing against for-profit organizations for services. So a lot of for-profits came into like disability services and all these other services, and nonprofits really didn't have a strategic plan. They didn't have a plan. They just said, okay, we have a service, we're going to do it. And then that conversation changed, and that's when strategy became. A matter of fact, my dissertation is on strategic planning. Mm-hmm.
I love that. And I think it's so important too, because Nicole Fielding is another one of our speakers who we've done a live interview with. And she talks about how the process is good, but the execution is what actually makes it happen. And
Absolutely.
What's awesome about that is, like, strategy sets the process, execution is what actually puts it into play. But you're looking at it from the end. She's talking about the execution component of it and utilizing the strategy, and you're talking about we need to actually create a solid strategy. And as entrepreneurs getting good at business, we can't just fly by the seat of our pants and hope that it works out.
Right. Exactly.
So, tell us a little bit of some success stories that you've seen, or at least one success story you've seen highlighting how you or a client has achieved success in business when they have intentionally planned for their future and intentionally set those strategies.
I had a company, a small company. He came to me one time. He had said, "Hey, I want to start." He was in his own, doing his own landscaping,
Mhm.
and he was landscaping. He's like, you know what? I don't know, the when commercial properties, they weren't doing as much landscaping at the time, and they were kind of scaling back a little bit. And he said, what am I going to do now? I said, well, you have all this equipment. In This was in Indiana. So Indiana, this is like a new time where it just like stopped snowing. So a lot of landscapers back in the day, they would do the regular, trimming and cutting grass and things like that. And then in the wintertime, they would take their trucks and turn them into snowplows. Well, that wasn't happening anymore. So I said, you know what you need to do is your new strategy is you need to specialize in apartments. You need to specialize in apartments, condominiums, and all these large scale properties. And then that needs to be your specialty. That's what you need to do. You need to get these big contracts for these people, and that will be your competitive edge. And he did that, and he did that to the point to where now that's all he does. He doesn't do any type of he doesn't do I probably does a little bit of residential, but his strategy was, now I'm just going to focus on those types of properties, and that's what he's doing now.
That's incredible too, because I think it's so important to note where there's a gap in the market, there's a strategic opportunity when you're looking to make a shift. And I have found, my gosh, in the last 6 months, I feel like every entrepreneur, every business owner that I have a conversation with is undergoing a shift of some kind, whether it's a
Absolutely.
shift in looking at what they want to offer, whether it's a shift in do they transition their business. And I'll even say a shift in people who have 25 years of corporate experience going, I want to go into entrepreneurship on my own and shifting that career path. And so I think it's so crucial and such a great highlight of there's gaps. There are places where those can be filled if you are intentionally planning for a future where you can fill those gaps.
Absolutely. Mhm.
And so your presentation is going to teach us not only like the theory, but the how to intentionally plan for the future, right?
Yes, my plan, or I teach strategic planning all the time. Strategic planning is an oxymoron. Strategy and planning are two totally different things. And why they call it strategic planning, I have no idea, but they do. And what I'm going to talk about in my presentation is I'm going to talk about have a plan. But when we were kids, or when I was in the military, they always say stick to the plan. And my thing is, and I'm going to put this in parentheses, know when to stick to the plan,
Mm.
because you have to know when to stick to the plan. Because what I'm going to do in my presentation, I'm going to talk about, number one, strategy is a lot more important than the plan. Never stay married to the plan, but always be focused on strategy.
The strategy in a way is the vision, right? Especially that
Absolutely.
strategy, intentionally planning for the future. It's the vision you want to attract. How you get there may change or shift as needed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There was a book a long time, not even a long time ago, it was maybe about 10 years ago, called Find Your Why.
Mhm.
Right? Well, mine is always know your because. Because if you think about it, if you're a good parent and you have a child, and you're feeding that child formula, why are you feeding that infant formula? Because you want to be a good dad. All right? Because you want to be a good dad or mom. Now, if you are feeding a 13-year-old formula, okay, that that you shouldn't be doing that. Your because has your why has changed. You still want to be a good dad, and that's the same in business. Your why will change constantly, but your because will never change.
I love that. Love that. And I think it's so important for any business owners watching, any entrepreneurs watching, that part of getting good at business is that ability to pivot, to maneuver, and to know your because. So excellent. Trunnis, I am so excited, and I'm sure our audience is as well, to hear your presentation. You also have something that you're giving away to one lucky attendee who attends live. Share with us a little bit about that.
Yes, I have a book that's coming out. It's called The Four P's of You. It actually is coming out like tomorrow. Okay, so it's a very busy week, obviously. I'm very excited about the book. It's called The Four P's of You, and it does deal a lot with planning. The four P's are purpose, planning, passion, and persistence.
Mhm.
And so I will be sharing a signed copy of the book. And it will be a gift to a lucky person listening to my presentation.
Yes, love it, love it. So if you want to get the opportunity to potentially win that book by being at the event live, or even just to hear Trunnis's amazing experience, his presentation, and learn about intentionally planning for the future, you can do that by going to summit.getgoodatbusiness.com. And if you type in Trunnis's first name, you have the opportunity to get free tickets to this event as well. It's going to be incredible, and we hope to see you there. Trunnis, thank you so much for joining me today, and so looking forward to your presentation.